Yeah, it's your boy Ray on the mic. Let's go.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Ray White on the mic with Ray White, Equity Inclusion Strategist, and excited to bring to you all this series where we're walking through this book. Bam! Advocacy in Action, 9 Practical Actions for Allied Social Justice. Super hyped about this book because it is one that I feel will give you the tangible ways to become a culture change agent within your communities, especially if you're the person who have asked the question, what do I do when social injustice arises within your spaces, within the news, within your cultural context? And what I would really hope is that we learn from the lessons from 2020 and take the steps necessary to become the culture change agents we need to be for those who are experiencing oppression, marginalization, exclusion based upon their identities. So this book provides some 9 practical ways for you to help do that, to start where you are and not feel like you have to do some grandiose practice or learn big old degrees or whatnot in order to make that happen, because it does start with you. In this particular episode, we're going to walk through the intracultural circle of our influence. So now we've walked through why this book was created, the positioning that we can take when it comes to social injustice, especially from the dissonance and the engagement circles, and moving to what actions we could take from an intercultural perspective, what we can do. And now we're moving into the places where we are in a monocultural, mono-ethnic, mono-generational space where people and our peers look like us, think like us, and experience life the same way that we do, which is what I titled in the section of the book, Intercultural Spaces. Now, the 3 different actions that you could take in the intercultural space is to speak up, is to continue the conversation, and it's also to leverage your power. And on this episode, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what does it mean to leverage your power. But please pick up the book, DMing me the word AIA book, or clicking the link in the bio to get your book to learn about the other ways that you could take action to become an ally in social justice in the intercultural space. But for this episode, you have a tremendous amount of power within your space to create the culture change that you wish to seek, to help usher in a level of advocacy, the level of support for those who experienced oppression within our societies. People think that because there is a higher capitalistic lens, that because of who they are, they do not have what it takes to make the change that they wish to seek. And that's completely not true. By you just being you, you have a voice, you have a lens, you have a perspective, and you have a positional relationship with the people around you. And through those things, you can create the change necessary to help usher in a more equitable, just society where people feel dignity, have access, and can belong. And those are actions that you could take. But you have to know the type of power that you have, right? You have to know the positional power, the personal power that you have through the way that you relate to people, to what you know, how you engage, how you take in information, how you share information, and what that does to influence the people around you. And then additionally, know the societal power that you have based upon the social identities that make up who you are, and understand that there are certain social identities that have more clout or more power in our society than others. So there's this a framework called the oppression privilege matrix, and that matrix helps identify individuals who have a certain dominant cultural trait, whether through their age, race, gender, sexuality, sexual orientation, whatnot. And based upon that, you have certain level of privileges that are related to that social identity. And then because there are privileges, unfortunately in our society, there are also people who are oppressed. So if you do not have a privileged identity, then there's an oppressed identity that's related to those shared social identities. And because of that, creates these isms, creates these biases, creates these further oppressive behaviors that create society that we're a part of. So for example, race is one of the common ones that we take a look at. So from a social lens, the racial identity that is dominant is white. The ones that are seen as deviant or oppressed are Black, Indigenous, or Latine, or West Indian, any individual that unfortunately has a darker skin than those that are white or fair. And because of that, creates an ism of racism. where there's a specific power that's being created over impression that's being created over the race that you identify within our society. And if you identify as somebody who has white or fair skin or can pass in that way, you get more privileges than those who are darker skin. And that is an example of the type of social power that's within our society. So recognizing the type of power that you have based upon your social identity is key, because you can leverage that to create the social change around you. You can utilize that to critique, to ask questions, to usher in change, to amplify voices when you see oppressive behaviors happening around you, and not let that just become the norm or status quo or be default when we are looking at the cultures that we're looking to design, right? And so that is one example within this book in which, by leveraging your position, you have to know what type of position that you have. And my reflexive question for you is, do you know the type of power that you have within our society? And what could you do to then understand and fully grasp how that power gives you the leverage to create the change that you want to see in our society and help oppressive identities become amplified and more included within our society, rather than the historically excluded practices that we've done to date? So that is one example of one of the actions that you could take. And what I appreciate and what I love about what I wrote in this book is that there's some stories in here as well of some of the examples that I have experienced when it comes to engaging with these certain actions. So it's not just me giving you facts. It's actually some personal lived experiences that's tied to it as well. And I want you to identify with those things and also bring in some of the lived experiences that you've experienced too when it comes to becoming an advocate within this space. So 9 practical ways for allies in social justice. Advocacy in Action is available now. You can hear other 8 experiences or other 8 actions by picking it up by clicking the link in the bio and messaging me AIA book. I'll send it to you as well. You can send it to a friend to send it to a friend, and y'all can talk about ways in which that you can be advocates within the spaces that you are part of, and be the culture change agents that you want to see for every identity to belong and thrive. So cop the book, keep listening to the episodes. Keep listening to the episodes because we have 2 more episodes that are going to walk through the 2 different sections of this book, and we'd love for you to get it and share it with a friend to share it with a friend. All right, so get the book right now. Let's go.